Rivalry's esports betting drives best quarter ever, first net profit. If you read through the story, Toronto-based betting company Rivalry announced its quarterly earnings, highlighting that Q3 2022 was the company's best quarter ever. In Q3, their revenue reached $5.2 million, up 93% from Q3 in 2021. Gross profits jumped to a record high $1.5 million in the quarter, up 263%. I want to kick this off to Jeff first, but before I do, I just wanted to let our chat know that if you're a fan of this story, if you're a fan of betting and esports, we actually had Steven Salz, Rivalry's CEO, on the Business of Esports podcast, episode number 156. I'm going to drop a link in the chat here for you if anyone is interested in taking a listen, taking a look. One of my favorite episodes, incredibly brilliant, I thought, CEO and insight from Steven. But Jeff, your insights on this quarter and this big news out of Rivalry.
Yeah, this is really impressive. I mean, I agree with what you were saying about Steven, or what we were talking about in the pre-chat. I think he's done a great job building that business and staying focused on kind of what they do well, which is being authentic and addressing the massive opportunity that is esports betting. They've kind of eschewed the shiny objects and maybe some of the acquisitions that other companies in the space, Esports Entertainment Group, where I used to work, eBet, another company that went public, I think did acquisitions that were outside of maybe the core of esports betting and to the detriment of what ended up happening in the public markets, whereas Rivalry has stuck to their knitting. And you see here in the numbers, I mean, 90% of the handle coming from esports is incredibly impressive. I would imagine it's hard to say market share because there's really not that many great sources out there in terms of the size of the esports betting market. I think a lot of the ones that are out there are kind of just, made up a little bit. So I would imagine that they're one of the bigger players. And to be doing 4 or 5 million a quarter or is that a month in revenue? Like that's very impressive. And puts them in a great position to be a really, really good acquisition target. I actually haven't followed how their stock is done. I'd be curious if maybe Chris or anyone knows. It's public in Canada, not that well followed of a market. Like it's just hard to get investor interest. They're also fighting the fact that a lot of these sports betting companies, like even in the public ones in the US, have just gotten absolutely slaughtered. So even if their stock's not doing well, I think they're building an incredible business and there's a lot of value there. So congratulations to them. I think, I've always been very bullish on the esports betting opportunity. And I think it's great that Rivalry is, being very focused and authentically addressing that opportunity.
Chris, you found this story for us through all of the esports and gaming news that we shift through each week. What did you find interesting in this story? Why did it make the top of your list?
I mean, to follow up on what Jeff said, I mean, I'm co-signing everything. And, I'm not a financial, I'm not a financial consultant, or I don't have the wherewithal to tell you what to invest in, but buy.
Yeah, none of this is investment advice.
This is not investment advice, but buy. This is better than FaZe. I promise you that. So, look, at the end of the day, to Jeff's points, these guys from day one, I discovered them probably back in 2016. And they just kept their head to the ground and kept their, authenticity. That was a word that we used to love to hear in esports. Authentic. These guys are legitimately authentic. They've stuck to their guns. They've again built their community. All things that we've said from a grassroots perspective, how to succeed. Where so many of the people, again, Jeff, perfect conversation where it's just they didn't chase the shiny objects. They said, no, this is what we know and we're going to grow it. But they do have a shiny object coming up, which I'm excited about, which is their casino.exe. And, for some time, I'm out here in Las Vegas. I do a lot of talking with these casinos. And I always kind of spoke on broadening the horizon and opening this up to the larger gaming audience before focusing on esports. But again, to the team over at Rivalry, they are doing the opposite. I do think they're going to see a lot of success by introducing, casino gaming that is video gaming version for a hardcore esports audience. I see nothing but good things for this team.
Agreed. I love when they went to address the casino opportunity, they didn't look and say, hey, what can we buy that's already a casino or what's already out there. They actually created a product that gamers want to use. And I think that's really smart.
We also have Paul in the chat here, I think, agreeing with you guys, saying the numbers are small, but the growth is promising. It's clear, thanks to EEG and eBet failures, that pure play is the only way to go. Lindsay, any final thoughts on that, or do you want to take the lead on our next story?
I'll take the lead on the next one. I was going to cede my time to Paul's comment anyway.
We love having his comment here. No, he cannot. I'm glad he's weighing in. We miss you here, Paul.